I think it's going to be a very interesting fight because Dubois got a lot better. So he'll be a different man this time. But I don't know, I just favour Usyk with the feet. Because look, to land that power, you've got to get there.
I think Daniel is on a much better form. He's definitely hasn't registered the last fight as a loss, which is a great thing. He's just sort of put it to the back of his head and made a reason for the fact that he should have won the fight. And he's just got great momentum. Big Baby Miller, Hrgovic.
Boxing pros have shared their final predictions on the upcoming clash between Oleksandr Usyk versus Daniel Dubois. Lawrence Okolie, having faced Daniel Dubois himself, views the upcoming rematch as a potential turning point in both fighters' careers. Once confident that Oleksandr Usyk would emerge victorious, Okolie has started to reconsider his stance. He now feels that if Dubois starts fast, applies constant pressure, and maintains a high pace throughout the fight, he could shift the momentum in his favor. Okolie emphasizes Dubois' youth, strength, and current surge in confidence as key factors. In his opinion, if Dubois can keep up the intensity, he may eventually land the shot that changes everything. This, Okolie suggests, could signal the beginning of the end for Usyk.
Dubois Usyk, how does that go?
I'll do this every single time and say that someone's going to beat Usyk. I think at this stage, Dan is, I think it's going to come down to youth. But Dan's very, very intense. He's on a high right now. He's going to have Don Charles in his corner screaming him on. So Usyk is definitely a talented boxer. We've seen it. He's one of the best we've seen. Movement and, you know, keeping someone under mental pressure. However, if someone's not thinking about that and you're not able to hurt them, although he did stop him in the last fight, in this fight, if he comes in with that kill or be killed mentality and just keeps on going from round 1 to round 12, at some point, I just think he's going to catch Usyk, and then it could be the beginning of the end. Yeah, that's my thoughts. I mean, Usyk has got a black eye. We've never seen him with a black eye before. Is it because he's 37? I don't know. But you know, like, I don't know. I just can't see how he's able to keep doing it.
Chris Algieri has pointed out the noticeable improvement in the British heavyweight, highlighting that Daniel Dubois is not simply returning for redemption. In Algieri's view, Dubois has evolved into a more composed and disciplined fighter. With impressive victories over 2 high-caliber opponents, Dubois has firmly established himself among boxing's top heavyweights. Algieri believes these recent wins demonstrate a deeper understanding of what's required to thrive at the elite level, and that growth could make all the difference in this rematch.
The narrative is much better for the Dubois rematch. You've got the fact that they fought, and then since then, Dubois has been on a tear, beating guys that he was the underdog against, Hrgovic, and then Anthony Joshua, of course. You know, the guy has like really revamped his entire career, turned it around, gone from a guy that people saw as a quitter to being potentially the most dangerous man in the world. So you've got this narrative now that Dubois is a different guy. So this rematch will be different. Also, you have the fact that Usyk in the ring after his win over Tyson Fury, Dubois came into the ring, challenged him, and Usyk said, Your Excellency, Turkey, make the fight with Dubois. He's a man of his word. That guy says something, there's a good chance it's going to happen. So I believe the narrative is there, you know, for this fight, obviously, and this is one of the reasons why it's being made.
Shannon Briggs expressed full confidence in Oleksandr Usyk, emphasizing that it's the Ukrainian's boxing IQ that sets him apart. Rather than worrying about factors like age or punching power, Briggs highlighted Usyk's ability to read his opponents, adapt his strategy mid-fight, and dictate the pace. He believes these qualities give Usyk a clear edge over most heavyweights, including Daniel Dubois. In Briggs's eyes, Usyk's intelligence and consistency in the ring are more than enough to see him through to another victory, regardless of how much Dubois has progressed.
Wow, long time. You're the champ. You're the champ. Let's go, champ.
Oleksandr Usyk's going to face Daniel Dubois in England and Wembley. Who do you think wins that one?
I like Usyk.
Peter Fury believes Daniel Dubois will enter the rematch with much greater confidence and noticeable improvement, making him a more dangerous opponent than before. However, he still favors Oleksandr Usyk, citing the Ukrainian's superior ring craft, experience, and ability to nullify power punchers with his movement and intelligence. Fury warns that while Usyk has the tools to control the fight, he must remain fully focused for all 12 rounds, as one lapse could allow Dubois to turn the fight in an instant.
I think it's going to be a very interesting fight because Dubois got a lot better. So he'll be a different man this time. But I don't know, I just favour Usyk with the feet, because look, to land that power...
Shane McGuigan believes Daniel Dubois is in much better form going into the rematch and has shown strong mental resilience by not dwelling on the previous loss. He highlighted Dubois' momentum from recent wins over fighters like Big Baby Miller, Hrgovic, and Anthony Joshua, but emphasized that the key factor will be the pace of the fight. McGuigan noted that while Dubois has handled pressure from opponents who forced him to work harder, Usyk operates at a completely different tempo, one that is relentless and mentally draining. In his view, constantly being touched and outworked by someone like Usyk can sap a fighter's confidence and gradually take the fight out of them.
I think Daniel is on a much better form. He's definitely hasn't registered the last fight as a loss, which is a great thing. He's just sort of put it to the back of his head and made a reason for the fact that he should have won the fight, and he's just got great momentum. Big Baby Miller, Hrgovic, AJ. But I do think after 4 or 5 rounds, when he's working at a tempo that he's not used to work, he doesn't like to work at, Hrgovic forced the pace. AJ forced the pace. Big Baby Miller was making him work at his pace, then he turned it over, but that's a very different pace to what Usyk fights at. So I think it's all down to tempo, and I think that is the biggest thing that takes your mind off it. And when you're just getting clipped, constantly clipped, it takes all the fight away from you.
Oleksandr Usyk recognized Daniel Dubois as a world champion and placed him 3rd among today's top heavyweights, behind Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. However, when asked if this version of Dubois is much improved from the one he previously fought, Usyk expressed uncertainty. While he acknowledged Dubois' rise in status, he remained cautious about making any assumptions regarding the extent of Dubois' development.
Listen, Daniel now is a world champion. Yeah, for me, first it's Tyson Fury, second Anthony Joshua, and then is Daniel Dubois.
And do you think this Dubois is a much better Daniel Dubois than the first one you fought?
I have no idea. Now Dubois world champion. Yeah, a little bit better.
Don Charles emphasized that when Daniel Dubois first faced Oleksandr Usyk, he was just 25, and now at 27, the added maturity and experience have made a noticeable difference. He pointed to Dubois' improved mental and physical strength, highlighting his commanding performances since that loss. Charles also questioned the fairness of the initial result, arguing that Dubois had clearly won the first half of the fight, while Usyk only gained control in the later rounds.
Where do we start?
Has he changed physically or mentally?
Most definitely. He's a young lad. People forget how young Daniel Dubois is. He's now 27, so when he had that fight, he was 25 years old. Okay, and he went out to Poland, represented, delivered what we believe, what we'd been rehearsing. Like you said, we'd only been together 3 months prior to that first encounter. Nevertheless, he won the first half of the fight and Usyk won the second half, if there's any such thing. You get that in football, but you don't get it in boxing, unfortunately.
Adam Booth argued that the upcoming fight will be quite different for Daniel Dubois. He described Dubois' approach in their first encounter as somewhat old-fashioned, but pointed out that after challenging his endurance against fighters like Joe Joyce and Anthony Joshua, Dubois has demonstrated his strength and resilience. Booth believes these developments mean Dubois will present a significantly tougher challenge to Oleksandr Usyk in the rematch.
Play it out. Different to the first one. I can make much more of an argument for Dubois in this fight.
Me too.
Firstly, because he actually had success in the first fight.
He did. Do you think it was a low blow?
No.
No.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
You do think it was a low blow?
Absolutely was. If you look,
you do?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, sorry. You caught me out then with the question. If you watch, it lands low, and while it's got contact with the shorts, it actually rises up at the point of impact.
So I've no use to my argument.
But it's irrelevant because they're going to fight again.
Yeah.
Usyk won the first time, and as he said, he won by stoppage. But Daniel Dubois is a different fighter now. Fighting is 90% mental, and he is a completely different fighter mentally. He lets his hands go with freedom. He now trusts his engine because he had those rounds with Jarrell Miller that tested his engine.
Yeah.
So he's kind of ticked the little boxes along the way, old school style. He's a much better fighter now than the one that fought Usyk the first time.
Adam Booth emphasized that although Oleksandr Usyk is a seasoned and skilled boxer, he hasn't observed any major progress from him since their last fight. He noted that usually the winner of the first match is favored to win again, but Booth is confident in Daniel Dubois' chances this time around and feels confident enough to back him in the rematch.
Usyk is a more experienced heavyweight now than he was in the first fight, but I'm not sure he's necessarily a better fighter because he was already fully accomplished back then.
Yeah.
So for me, it's a much closer fight. Now in a rematch, the smart thing to do is always go with who won the first fight.
Yep.
If you've got to put your house on it, choose that. Secondly, we're talking about Usyk. So if you force me, I would say, okay, well, if I got to do it, I'll go Usyk. But if you gave me the freedom of expression, there's a lot for me to say, actually, you know what? Dubois is actually a good bet on this one.
Fabio Wardley, having sparred with both Oleksandr Usyk and Daniel Dubois, offered his perspective on the upcoming fight. He described it as a potentially thrilling contest that could either unfold differently or mirror their first meeting. While recognizing the notable improvements in Dubois' skills, Wardley stressed that Usyk remains an exceptionally tough opponent to overcome at this stage in his career.
Maybe, maybe not. Maybe I don't necessarily agree. It's still a fantastic fight regardless. Obviously, Dubois had a bit of growing since his first time out with Usyk. So, yeah, it still makes for a very intriguing fight. But I do think for the most part it's pretty much going to go the same way. Not to take anything away from Daniel and his progression over time, but ultimately I just think Usyk is a hard man to bet against.
Joe Rogan shared his views on the upcoming clash between Daniel Dubois and Oleksandr Usyk, highlighting Dubois as a frightening and formidable fighter, especially considering he's just 27 years old. Echoing his guest Francis Foster, Rogan praised Dubois' showing against Anthony Joshua, describing it as a clear demonstration of his skill and aggressive approach inside the ring.
Dubois is coming into his own, man. That's what that is. He's only like 27, right?
Yep.
Yeah, he's coming into his own. That guy's f***ing scary. He's dangerous.
And you know, the interesting thing is that at least the press in the UK, they didn't give him a hope. Everybody was talking about, like when Joshua gets Dubois out of the way, then we can move on to the next fight. And this is a fight that we want to see.
It seems like Joshua believed that going into that fight. It seems like he believed that he was just going to dominate him.
Yeah, and he just got ruthlessly exposed. The power of Dubois. I remember I bought into it. I was like, okay, so I'll watch it, but this is going to be a stepping stone match. It wasn't a stepping stone match.
Aggression too, man. He was so aggressive.
Johnny Nelson pointed out that Oleksandr Usyk has a talent for adapting and improving when facing an opponent a second time, which makes rematches easier for him. He explained that the main difference now is Daniel Dubois' increased confidence, built from recent wins and strong support from his team. Nelson compared Dubois' first fight to someone still learning the ropes, but warned that Usyk's sharp ring intelligence and quick ability to analyze opponents make him even more dangerous in a rematch.
Oleksandr Usyk has proven time and time again, if he's boxed you once, he actually finds it easier the second time. And the difference between this fight and their last fight is Daniel is now believe in himself, and the success has made him more confident, have more self-belief, have more faith in what he's capable of doing. I think he was like a learning driver the first time we boxed. But the problem is with Usyk, if you fight Usyk once, he's very good at downloading the blueprint.
Nelson also said the fight has grabbed a lot of attention and believes Usyk could stop Dubois not with a single knockout punch, but through steady, smart pressure. He acknowledged Dubois' growth, especially in his fight against Anthony Joshua, where Dubois rose to the occasion while Joshua faltered. Still, Nelson expects both fighters to come fully prepared this time. Despite Dubois being naturally stronger, Usyk has faced bigger and tougher opponents and still found ways to win.
It's a fight that catches your attention, but I do believe that Usyk could possibly stop Daniel, and it won't be one shot. It'll be an accumulation of consistent, like subtle pressure on Daniel. But Daniel, again, we see how he grows, we see how he goes on, and I betted against Daniel against AJ, but then AJ didn't turn up. Daniel did. and Daniel got the job done. So I don't think that's going to be the case here. You've got two fighters that are going to turn up, so it's going to be skill against skill. Daniel is naturally the stronger of the two, but I suppose a lot of people Usyk's been with have been bigger and stronger than him, but he's managed to negate his way around.
In addition, Nelson mentioned that both fighters now know each other very well. He praised Usyk for staying calm under pressure and turning fights around even when hurt, as seen in their first match. He said Dubois understands the need to stay focused and not get discouraged because Usyk will keep coming. Both fighters have gained confidence from recent bouts, but Nelson believes Usyk will stop Dubois before the final round. He said this is just his honest opinion.
So Dubois knows what Usyk's about, and Usyk knows what Dubois is about. Usyk showed that he can think in most situations and change the direction of a fight mid-fight. He proves that. He proved that when he got when he went down in the last fight. He knew how to milk the situation. He knew how to play the game, find himself a little time to re-establish himself, and still come back and beat Daniel up. So for Daniel, he now knows that, you know what, I've got to stick to the task in hand. Don't be brokenhearted by this guy's persistence, because he'll keep coming as long as he possibly can. He's an honest pro. So knowledge is power. So yes, they're both not getting an instant rematch. You think, well, look at what they did after that. Look at what Usyk also did after that. Look at what Daniel did. So Daniel's had a confidence builder, but so has Usyk. So Daniel knows what Usyk's about, but so does Usyk. So both fighters have benefited from the opportunity to box elsewhere and others. So again, I think Usyk stops Daniel inside the distance. But you know what? Trying to back the bit, but you're asking me a question, I'm going to say exactly how it is.
Joseph Parker commented on the upcoming rematch, recognizing that Daniel Dubois has developed significantly since their first meeting. He praised Dubois' growth and acknowledged that he has become a much more dangerous opponent. Parker highlighted that the rematch's main purpose is to determine if Dubois can truly overcome the past, particularly the stoppage caused by a jab and the controversy surrounding the body shot. While Parker sympathizes with those who believe the shot was low, he also understands the opposing view that it was legal. Ultimately, he sees this fight as the moment to prove whether that ending was a one-off or a true display of Usyk's skill.
Okay. Who do you see as the more dangerous opponent though? Usyk or Dubois?
I believe Usyk. I believe Usyk is a great fighter. Dubois is a changed fighter from his first fight. But then this is why we had the rematch, to see whether Dubois can overcome what he got stopped with a jab. And he did. A lot of people also questioning the body shot. I think it was a low blow.
Me too.
And it was below the belt, but a lot of people were saying it was a legal shot. So this is going to determine, whether it was a fluke, that shot, or whether Usyk was just a monster.
Kevin Lorena shared his perspective on the first fight, stating that he neither considers the controversial blow a clear low blow nor a clean legal punch, but acknowledged that it definitely hurt Usyk. He praised Dubois as a powerful and aggressive fighter who is often underestimated for his boxing intelligence. Since changing trainers, Dubois has gained considerable confidence, and Lorena is eager to see how the rematch will play out.
Look, the first fight, I think, was it a low blow? My answer is no. Was it a legal blow? My answer is also no. So it definitely hurt Oleksandr. Daniel can punch. He's a terrific, fierce puncher. I think he's also, people underestimate his boxing ability. He's got IQ and he's got a terrific jab. And I think since he's changed trainers, we've seen not to say Shane McQueen is not a good trainer because I rate him highly, but I think sometimes a change is good for anybody. And Daniel's really come on with confidence. So I'm excited to see the outcome of the second fight.
At the same time, Lorena described Usyk as a tactical genius and one of the most technically skilled boxers of this generation, despite being smaller in size. He reminded that even Usyk is human and susceptible to damage from a well-placed punch, as has been shown before. While Lorena refrained from making a prediction, he emphasized that the fight's outcome depends entirely on the fighters and wished that the best man wins.
Having said that, Oleksandr Usyk's a mastermind. He's probably technically one of the soundest boxers of our era in terms of technical skill set, being the smaller man. But takes one punch to turn a fight around, and we've seen Usyk been hurt before. We're all human, we're all mere mortals. So How it's going to go, I don't know. I'm not one to predict. It's not my fight. That's up to them to predict between the both of them. And yeah, may the best man win.
Carl Froch reflected on the first fight in Germany, highlighting the significant progress Daniel Dubois has made, especially following his impressive victory over Anthony Joshua. Froch believes Dubois now has a much better chance and could potentially surprise everyone. Drawing from his own experience retiring near the age of 38, he stressed the importance of proper preparation and nutrition, noting how difficult weight management can be for fighters.
Daniel Dubois, Oleksandr Usyk, undisputed. It's been confirmed now for July 19th at Wembley Stadium. Can Dubois shock the world? Can he do what he couldn't do last time? You know, he gave it a good go when they fought in, what was it, Germany, the first match, wasn't it? And he'll come on leaps and bounds since then, as we saw against Anthony Joshua. So you've got to give him a chance, better chance than last time.
Can he shock the world in a word? Yes, he can, because Usyk's 30, is he 38?
38, I think, yeah.
So I've been 38. It was 9 years ago, but I know how it feels. I retired at 36. I was nearly 37. I was a month away from my 37th birthday when I chin grows at Wembley in front of 80,000 fans and went on to become an International Boxing Hall of Famer. You know, that was 11 years ago. And it was hard for me, and I did the weight easy, really. I say easy because I'm not lying around in spacesuits trying to take weight off. I'm actually eating all week, and I'm doing it properly, professionally, like most of all the Hall of Famers, world champs. They do it correct. Roy Jones, Floyd Mayweather. They don't struggle at weight. They get down to the weight. They do it properly. They get in the ring.
While Oleksandr Usyk, as a heavyweight, doesn't face weight-cutting challenges, Froch pointed out that age is beginning to take a toll on Usyk's joints and bones due to the physical wear from tough battles, including those with Tyson Fury. In contrast, Dubois is younger and fresher, and since their close first fight when Dubois was still finding his footing, he has gained confidence and momentum. Froch views the rematch as an exciting opportunity where Dubois could come out on top, even suggesting that Usyk might consider retirement after his grueling fights with Fury, feeling he has already accomplished a great deal.
And I just think that Usyk, at 38 years old, although he's not got the issue with weight because it's heavyweight, you can weigh what you want.
True.
He's still got a mind that's slowing down. He's still got reflexes that are diminishing. He's still got old joints and old bones.
Yeah,
he's got
Tyson Fury fights.
Hundreds of fights in the amateurs.
Yeah, taking it out of him.
And Dubois is young and fresh. And the first fight was quite close when Dubois was unsure of himself.
Yeah.
And Dubois has gone and flattened AJ. Had a couple of fights with Gerald Miller. He's looked good against Hrgovic. You've got to say that Dubois now is a different machine.
Self-confidence will be...
And time waits for no man, as the saying goes. I just think that this is a fight it's exciting. It's a good fight. You've got to make Usyk the favourite, but it's a fight that Daniel Dubois can definitely win. I don't think Usyk should keep fighting. I said, remember last fight with Tyson. I said once he beat Tyson, retire. That's it. You're done. He made fucking 100 million.
What are you saying? 60-40.
That's it for today's video. So what are your thoughts on this? What do you think about their fight? We would love to hear your thoughts on this. So share your thoughts in the comment section and make sure to subscribe and like if you enjoyed the video. Also check out our other videos on the screen right now.